Animals don't speak with words, but they do speak. And you have probably felt that already. Maybe you have had the sense that your animal wanted to tell you something without saying a word. A look, a movement, a moment that suddenly touched you. But what exactly is speaking in that moment, and why do we so often not understand it? Animals are energetic beings. In fact, they are highly spiritual beings. And very often we can feel their infinite love. They live in a natural connection with the spiritual world, much more deeply than most humans do. They perceive energies, vibrations, and moods. And in this video, you will discover what's really behind this silent language and how you can learn to understand it. What you will hear today will bring your connection with animals to a whole new level. Make sure you stay until the end. It's going to be fascinating. But before we talk about the 4 levels of animal communication and how you can truly understand your animal, ask yourself a simple question. How does your animal actually communicate with you if it doesn't use any words? And I can speak from my own experience. As some of you may know, I live with 4 dogs myself. So yes, there's always a lot going on, especially when it comes to communication. And that doesn't mean I always understand everything or that my animals always do what I would like them to. And one of my dogs is a Dalmatian who's been completely deaf since birth. And he was extremely challenging. Now he's coming as a puppy. Because on the inside, he was also very unsettled. But now he's actually the one I communicate best with, even though he can't hear. It's kind of funny because animal communication works very differently than most people think. Animals use a form of communication that is far more direct than words. They send you energies, feelings, images, sensations. Some call it intuition, but in truth, it is their very own language. Maybe you have already felt it, that your animal reacts to you even before you say anything. Or it suddenly lies next to you in the exact moment when you need comfort, even though you didn't show it on the outside. This is communication, energetic, telepathic, and direct. And it works because animals don't communicate from the mind. They communicate through energies, through vibrations, presence, and real connection. You can imagine it like an open space between you, a space where information flows beyond sound and beyond words. Communication with animals isn't loud. It is not logical, and it's definitely not complicated. But it is subtle, and it requires presence, clarity, and a certain kind of remembering, because you knew how to do this once, maybe as a child, before you were taught to only listen to words. But the good news is everyone can relearn this. And I will show you how this functions in just a moment. But first, let's take a look at the 4 levels of animal communication so you can really understand how this communication actually works. So, what do these 4 levels of communication mean? When we talk about animal communication, many people think some kind of inner voice or messages that just appear. But in reality, animal communication is multi-layered at the same time. It unfolds across those 4 levels, and they are all connected. Each one is part of the natural connection between you and the animal. So the first level is the visible language of your animal. Before we even talk about feelings, images, or energies, animal communication always starts with the body. Animals are constantly speaking through their posture, their movements, their expression, their body tension. And if you pay close attention, you will already see a lot. It's not just about obvious signs like barking or wagging with the tail. It is also about the subtle, often overlooked signals that you can learn to read like a language. So, what can you actually observe? Here are a few examples you can start watching for more conscious communication. The gaze. Is the gaze of your animal direct, soft, demanding, avoiding, or frozen? A soft gaze often means, I trust you. The ears also speak a lot. Are they upright? Are they pinned back? Do they move nervously? And also the tail, held high and wagging, excitement and wants to contact, and rigid or wagging very fast, tension or over excitement, and tucked between the legs, fear or insecurity. And check the posture, upright and relaxed, everything is fine. Stiff and tense, this is an alert or that your animal is overwhelmed. And you should always check if there is a physical problem. Then also the body movements. Turning away, this means your animal wants to withdraw. That's okay. Nudging or leaning on you, then your animal might seek closeness. Shaking, scratching, yawning, stress or emotional release is important. And also check the breathing, slow and deep. Everything is fine. Shallow or panting, stress, pain, heat, or anxiety is possible. And also check the reaction when you approach. Do they come toward you? Do they stop and freeze? Do they move away? Observation is a key. The physical level is accessible to everyone. You don't need any special skills, you just need to learn to truly see. It is about presence, about awareness, and about not jumping to conclusions, not interpreting your animal based on your own filters, very important, but simply observing without judgment. And ask yourself, what is my animal doing right now? How is it standing or holding itself? What has changed compared to before? Because when you begin to really see, then the connection arises, the communication starts. And this connection becomes the foundation for every deeper form of communication. The next level is the emotional energetic level, when you feel what your animal doesn't show. And this level is even more subtle than what your eyes can see, because now it's no longer about body language, but about what vibrates in the space between you. Maybe you have experienced this before. Your animal is lying peaceful next to you, but you feel unsettled. Or you suddenly think, something's not right with my animal. Even though on the outside everything looks fine, this is an emotional resonance. Animals communicate on this level through energetic field connection. They send you feelings, states of being, inner images, or even small impulses directly into your system, and you don't process it with your mind. You receive it with your whole being. How does this level show up in real life? You might suddenly feel something in your belly, pressure, warmth, tension, or even a chill, just by being near your animal. Maybe you feel sadness, even though the moment seems totally ordinary. Maybe you notice irritation or resistance within yourself, even though your animal is acting calm or sweet. Or suddenly you just know your animal needs something, even though it hasn't moved or looked at you. You could say your animal speaks on a higher level to you, and your body and your emotional system recognizes those vibrations. It is like an inner download. It is not listening in the usual way, it is feeling, allowing, receiving. You won't feel like you made it up. It is more like, I don't know why I feel this right now, but it's there. This level requires silence. It needs openness and the willingness to not understand everything right away, because energy has its own language, and the more you practice letting it in, the clearer the signals become, and you will notice what you once thought was just an imagination was often already a clear message from your animal. And sometimes there's even more. You don't just feel what your animal needs or how it feels in that moment, you start to sense this being is not just an animal. There's a deeper connection between us, something that cannot be explained, something that goes far beyond. And this is another level, one that seems subtle at first, almost invisible. But it's actually the key to true communication. This is the telepathic energetic level. And at this point, it's no longer about body language or behavior, it is about what you receive from within. This is about images and, and a communication of knowing something that you could not feel or know in any other way. These are messages your animal sends to you directly through the energetic field. And maybe you have already experienced this. You are just sitting there and suddenly you get a mental image of your animal in a specific place, standing in a certain way, or a sentence suddenly appears in your mind like, I just need space right now. And you didn't think about it, it just showed up. And a moment later, you see your animal has actually moved away or turned inward or is lying quietly alone. So that's not fantasy, that's animal communication. And at this level, you may even feel your animal's pain in your own body, a tightness in your stomach, a pulling in your back, or pressure in your chest. You suddenly get the impulse to bring them water or to go outside, to sit down next to them, and you don't even know why. And that's the point. You don't know it in your head. You feel it on a deeper, direct level. Animal communication is really happening in a level beyond our normal form of communication. It happens in an energetic space where no words are needed, no intention. It happens from heart to heart, from consciousness to consciousness. And the quieter you become, the clearer these impulses will get. The less you try to analyze or explain, the more you will be able to receive. Because at this level, animal communication isn't logical, it is purely intuitive, and it is a message from heart to heart. It is not controlled, and it is a very subtle energy where this communication happens. But now, how does animal communication really work? How can you increase to get clear information from your animal? But before we start to dive deeper, there is another level we should talk about. And this level is the soul connection you have to your animal. Maybe your animal has been with you for many years and you just know your animal very well. Or maybe you had only a brief encounter with an animal, but it touched something deep inside of you and changed you forever. This brings us up to the next level, the soul spiritual level of animal communication. This is the highest form of communication between you and your animal. It is like a bond between you. Because we are always connected on a soul level. Animal communication doesn't just happen through body language or through feelings or subtle energetic impressions. It also happens on a level where words are no longer needed because the souls are already speaking to each other. There's not a single moment where you are not connected with your animal on this level. Nothing that happens between you is random. Every encounter, every behavior, every symptom has a soul-based cause. And this level, you don't need to create it. It's already there. But you can learn to understand it consciously so that a quiet, invisible bond becomes a clear, conscious communication. Because what connects you and your animal is a soul contract, an agreement you made long before you ever met. Even if your animal seems to have appeared to by chance in a shelter, on the street, or as a sudden impulse like, I just need to bring this one home. This connection was already set. It is part of your path. And that doesn't mean that you will always understand everything, but it does mean you can learn to listen, not just with your mind, but with your entire being. And at the same time, one thing is true. How you handle this connection is your choice. You can see it or ignore it. You can deepen it or try to control it. And this is where the true path of animal communication starts. Because true communication on a soul level is not, what is my animal thinking? What does it want right now? It's this, what is my animal showing me on a soul level? What has it brought into my life? What am I meant to learn through this connection about myself. This isn't about healing your animal. It is about recognizing the learning task within the communication, the message behind the behavior, the wisdom behind the illness, the love behind the mirror. Listen, receive, and begin to truly communicate, soul to soul. And maybe that's the real reason why animal communication touches us so deeply, because it's carried by a love that asks for nothing in return. Animals don't think about whether we are right or wrong. They love us through all our phases. And through that love, they act silently without words, and yet so powerful that sometimes they are the ones who teaches us how to truly love ourselves again. It is a soul level intervention. Your animal is reminding you, calling you back to yourself. Maybe an animal might suddenly act aggressive while you seem calm, in control, and fully functional. But inside, you are holding back frustration, anger, boundaries you never voiced. And your animal mirrors that for you. It holds it until it becomes visible. And the message is not fix your animal. The message is feel again. Find your power. I'm showing you what you are not allowing yourself to feel. And sometimes animals even take on illness, not by accident, but because they are in resonance with your inner state. Maybe you are afraid to make a decision. You are holding back, and suddenly your animal develops joint problems, struggles to move forward. Or maybe you carry old pain, loss, guilt, and grief, and your animal develops a chronic condition that forces you to slow down. Not because you did something wrong, but because your souls are so deeply connected that your animal is willing to carry something for you until you are ready to see it. And then there are those sacred moments when an animal leaves, dies, and you just know it's not random. Many animals don't leave because their time is up. They leave when their task is completed. They help you to hold your energy field until you have gone through your own transformation. They stay through your darkest times until you are standing in your own strength again. And only then do they let go, as if to say, I've guided you, and now you are ready. When you begin to see your animal from this higher level, your entire connection changes. You stop reacting to behaviors and start receiving the messages behind them. And then that is this soul level animal communication. It is not just a conversation, it is a reminder that you were never alone on your path and that your soul chose this animal to help yourself to grow. And as I said earlier, animal communication is something you can learn step by step. It is not a gift for a chosen few. It's a natural ability that already lives inside you. Everyone can learn it, and most importantly, you need to connect to yourself. Find a quiet moment with your animal. They don't need to be sitting next to you. It is enough to simply think of them and build a connection from within. Close your eyes, take a few deep breaths. Let your breath slow down. Feel your body. Really arrive in yourself. This is such an important step, and one that many people overlook, because so often we focus so much on the animal that we forget to be connected to ourselves. But you can only receive messages when you are in connection with you. The connection happens through your body, through your breath, and especially through your feelings. When you feel that you are truly present, then bring your animal into your awareness, not just as an image in your head, but as a feeling. Feel them come alive in you. And as you know them, as you love them, as they really are. And maybe you will see them in your inner world, not as a frozen picture, but as a spiritual guide, as something that is deeply connected to you. And this helps you to understand your own energy and who you truly are on a much broader level than ever before. It is this kind of inner awareness that is often a sign of a deeper or higher communication on soul level that has already begun. It is not only about an inner image. It is about to receive something, to open something. Your animal could be a portal into other dimensions. You do not need to do so much for communication. You don't need to achieve anything. Just let the quiet connection between you be there. And if you feel ready, you can ask a question in your heart, gently and lovingly. Something like, what do you want to show me now? How are you feeling right now? Or simply, I am here. What would you like to tell me? Just listen without expectation, without judgment. Maybe an image comes, maybe a feeling, a word, or perhaps a movement, an inner scene, a shot in a film with your animal, something you didn't think but simply received. Trust the first thing that comes. It's often very quiet, so subtle that your mind might want to say, that's only my imagination. But your soul knows better. This is the moment where real communication begins. Not forced, but given from your animal through the energy field directly into your heart. And maybe nothing happens the first time, or maybe you are not sure. That's okay. You start to learn to communicate, because animal communication is not a performance. It is a remembering, a rediscovery of the language you have never truly lost. The more open you are, the quieter you become, the clearer it gets. And at some point, you will feel it so clearly. That wasn't fantasy. That was my animal. That was real. And maybe while listening today, you felt something stir within you, something that remembers, something that that always knows. And animals are more than companions. They are teachers. They are mirrors. They are our soul guides. Animal communication isn't something you have to master. It is something to remember step by step, feeling by feeling, knowing by knowing. And if you want to go deeper on this path, if you want to like to learn more how to active communicate with the spirit realm and also your animals, check my mediumship online course where you can learn to activate your psychic abilities and communicate in a much deeper or higher and clearer way than ever before. So thank you so much for listening. Share this video with your friends and family, and do not forget, I love you.